Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Amert, partner with Wilkie Farr & Gallagher, and with me today is Ethan Sampson, Vice President and Deputy General Counsel of Let Us Entertain You Restaurants. We're honored to be with you today as co-chairs of this year's Legal Aid Society Equal Access to Justice Award Luncheon. We thank you for supporting the many legal services that LAS provides in the areas of safety and family, individual rights and social justice, and health, housing, and economic stability. Last year alone, the Legal Aid Society offered services to more than 13,800 clients. Those 13,800 clients represent lives transformed. These are individuals who were able to overcome major challenges of navigating a complex and challenging legal system because they were able to access help from the Legal Aid Society. You are the ones who make that support possible. Your financial support for the work LAS does is essential, especially now when the organization finds itself operating in times we as a community, nation, and world have never experienced before. And despite all of the unprecedented changes we all have experienced this year, I am truly excited to share that 2020 also has been a year when so many of you, your colleagues, and your peers have been hugely generous in supporting LAS's work of providing legal services to families and individuals who otherwise would have no access. More than $238,000 has been raised for this year's Equal Access to Justice Awards program. Thank you.
The money raised by this event is incredibly meaningful in furthering the Legal Aid Society's mission, and we thank all who have contributed. We know this is a tremendously difficult year for everyone. We give special thanks to our sponsors whose generous support make equal access to justice possible. Presenting sponsors include Abbott Laboratories, Baker McKenzie, Kirkland & Ellis, Wachtell Lipton Rosen & Katz, and Wilkie Farr & Gallagher. The champion sponsor is Winston & Strong. And our advocate sponsors are Baker Botts, Jenner & Block, Latham & Watkins, and Sidley Austin. Thank you also to our supporter, forensic services, and friend-level sponsors who are included in today's program. We greatly appreciate your generous support and dedication to equal access to justice.
We also appreciate and thank our friends and volunteers for the phenomenal and committed work they do on behalf of LAS. They include the members of our Luncheon Host Committee, our fellow members of the Board of the Legal Aid Society, the Board of Directors of Metropolitan Family Services, and the Associate Board of the Legal Aid Society, and the lawyers, staff, and volunteers and leadership of the Legal Aid Society and Metropolitan Family Services. Each day, they're making a positive and necessary difference, and their work truly benefits our legal community and greater society.
We are now pleased to introduce Miguel Caberline, Executive Director of the Legal Aid Society of Metropolitan Family Services.
Good afternoon and welcome. We're so grateful that you've joined us today to celebrate and reflect on the amazing work of the Legal Aid Society over this past year. And what a year 2020 has been. Tumultuous, chaotic, humbling, frightening, and educational. No one can deny it's been a historic year that has upended even the most basic parts of our lives. LAS has helped Chicagoans through some of the most trying and difficult times in our country's history, and today is no different. Whether it's the pandemic, racial injustice, unemployment, economic instability, looming housing crisis, or the ramifications of spikes in domestic violence and human trafficking from lockdowns, all of the tremendous challenges before us disproportionately affect our clients. I have seen how our staff have doubled down in their efforts to serve our clients. And over this past year, we've been able to significantly improve and even expand our array of legal services. We've done this all the while continuing to offer the most comprehensive services of any provider in the nation by leveraging the social and behavioral health services of MFS and by responding directly to the needs of our communities. I'd like to share with you just a few of the highlights of LAS and our communities from this past year. We launched our CP4P Justice Corps, and we hired Sonny Thatch as our managing attorney. You'll hear much more from him and his very personal connection to gun violence and his vision for helping empower communities that have long been ignored and marginalized. The Justice Corps is providing legal services in all of the many areas of expertise we have within LAS. But now, we're doing it directly in 22 neighborhoods most affected by gun violence here in Chicago. Each attorney in the Corps is assigned to 3 specific neighborhoods to work closely with our partner agencies on the ground and to work with communities to be responsive to their self-identified needs. So many Chicagoans in these communities have lost hope. They feel that they've been left behind with no immediate path forward. We're going to be part of changing that. Community lawyering is needed now more than ever. And if we truly believe justice for all is more than just words in a pledge, then we must bring all of our resources and best ideas towards the most pressing issues before us. The CP4P Justice Corps is doing just that, and we could be not more proud to be part of MFS's peace initiatives. Victims' rights, especially in the context of domestic violence and human trafficking, are also 2 other areas where we've been able to expand our services. Last year, MFS merged with Family Shelter Services in DuPage, and part of that merger included acquiring a domestic violence shelter. One of the most immediate and pressing needs victims of domestic violence face is often safe and immediate housing. The staff at the shelter already provides supportive social service programs. We're so pleased that as part of our new DuPage domestic violence team, we will now be able to embed attorneys and paralegals at the shelter to offer immediate legal assistance. Many of us know just how cumbersome and confusing the legal system can be, but we'll now be able to provide representation, information, support, and hope to survivors in a safe setting. It's a tremendous accomplishment, and our staff led the efforts to create the program, seeking out the funding and setting a course that allows us to meet a community need in a very effective way. This type of staff leadership has resulted in other areas of expansion as well. We were recently informed by the Department of Justice that they again have selected LAS to expand our already very robust anti-human trafficking work. As it stands now, we are one of only a handful of national organizations that provide services to both victims of sex and labor trafficking. And we're the only organization that can provide the wealth of social and behavioral health services in-house to survivors. This is very important because so many victims of human trafficking have multiple legal and social service needs, including needing safe housing, access to benefits, and oftentimes immigration relief. Our anti-human trafficking work is actually the one program which we provide statewide. It's a bit of a secret to the public that there are hundreds of labor camps across Illinois where workers are brought in on foreign guest worker visas and housed in remote locations with little access to any services. They work in industries such as meatpacking, corn detasseling, massage and nail parlors, hotels and restaurants, and landscaping, just to name a few. Some bad actors exploit this reality, and many workers end up as victims of labor trafficking. Our outreach staff investigates where these camps are located, and they travel to meet with workers, educating them about their legal rights and providing representation where needed. We oftentimes need to work with an array of partners, including law enforcement, healthcare providers, local service agencies, and housing providers to create safety plans that can be implemented to help victims of trafficking. The challenge of combating human trafficking is oftentimes dangerous, but our staff does not shy away from leading in this area, and we are very proud of the expanded funding we recently awarded. And while we're very proud of the expansion of much of our signature work, nowhere are our services needed more than in the fight for racial justice and combating systemic racism. It cannot be denied that as a country we have fallen short of the promises of justice and liberty for all when we see the lived experiences of Black and other minority communities. We must change. As a new initiative, we have launched our Impact Litigation and Advocacy Project. This project will allow us to focus on larger systemic issues affecting the communities we serve and to collaborate with other organizations who are dedicated to bringing about substantive change through a racial justice lens. We see it in many areas, including our criminal justice system, housing inequality, wage theft, access to quality schooling, and so many other areas. We will leverage the work of our CP4P Justice Corps and combat the areas our communities identify. Black lives matter, and we will and must do more to create a society that reflects the best in all of us. I know I speak on behalf of everyone at LAS when I say your engagement with us and your support of our organization inspires us to work even harder every day on behalf of our communities and our clients. Whether it be through pro bono support, donations, new ideas for projects, or attending today's luncheon, we are so grateful to you. I'd like to give special thanks to our very dedicated staff who continue to step up to the challenges presented each day, to our host committee for their tireless efforts in helping put this luncheon together, to our LAS board for the unwavering support and collaboration and time, to Metropolitan's president and CEO, Rick Estrada, for his tremendous leadership, and to today's honoree, Hubert Allen, who embodies everything we believe in and value at the Legal Aid Society. I hope the stories and reflections you hear today will inspire you, and you'll take great pride in knowing that your support of LAS truly makes a difference in the lives of so many vulnerable people and communities across Chicago. Again, thank you for being with us today.
Legal Aid Society board member Brenda McNamara describes her passion for LAS and how it changes lives.
I support Legal Aid Society because the organization has an unwavering commitment to providing equal access to justice for all, especially the most vulnerable communities. Vulnerable communities include the impoverished, those affected by domestic violence, consumer and housing issues, elder abuse and financial exploitation, human trafficking, and the victims of crime. Previously, I served on the board of directors of Family Shelter Service, the largest domestic violence shelter in DuPage County. In February of 2019, Family Shelter Service became a part of the Metropolitan Family Services Legal Aid Society family. While serving on the board of Family Shelter Service, there was a dire need to provide clients with affordable legal representation, particularly in regard to family law issues. It is very difficult for survivors with financial resources to get out of abusive relationships. For survivors who lack financial resources, it is nearly impossible. They cannot leave without help. Legal Aid Society now has a grant that will provide funds to hire attorneys and paralegals in DuPage County to work at the shelter and represent domestic violence survivors, victims of violent crime, and human trafficking. This is just one of the many ways that Legal Aid Society makes a meaningful difference in the lives of the clients we serve. The Legal Aid Society's work and mission truly changes the lives of families and helps them regain a sense of hope. Legal Aid Society's comprehensive services empower families and vulnerable communities to move up and out of poverty and to recover from difficult life experiences. Legal Aid Society empowers vulnerable communities to take back their lives and move forward into better lives for themselves and their family. Equal access to justice for all, especially vulnerable communities, has never been more important than it is today. Underprivileged communities have been hit the hardest by world events: COVID-19, the spike in violent crimes, extraordinarily high unemployment rates, racial injustice, and an increased divide between the wealthy and the underprivileged. Thank you for your support of the Legal Aid Society and the meaningful difference it makes in the most vulnerable communities.
Next, the Legal Aid Society recognizes excellence in pro bono legal service.
On behalf of Legal Aid Society, I am pleased to present the 2020 Scott C. Solberg Pro Bono Awards, recognizing outstanding pro bono service by a law firm or corporation and by an individual. For this year's award going to a firm or corporation, we honor Latham & Watkins for the exceptional pro bono work they have conducted this past year on behalf of the Legal Aid Society and our clients. Latham attorneys have supported LAS's work in a variety of ways. They include partnering with LAS on our Elder Help Desk, sending attorneys to staff the desk once a month who advise clients 60 years and older on legal matters, including family law, housing, and consumer issues. Latham also has been a major help with our power of attorney clinics, which provide free assistance to clients needing to draft healthcare and financial powers of attorney. Their engagement has been invaluable for how many we serve. In addition, Latham is our first partner in the Legal Aid Society's U-Visa and VAWA Visa project, which involve longer-term cases that help clients file for these special visas. To date, they have taken 8 cases in partnership with JPMorgan Chase. U-Visas assist immigrant victims of crime in the United States who have been helpful in law enforcement's investigation or prosecution of a crime. These visas provide an important avenue to legal status for the victims and their families. The Violence Against Women Act provides an immigration remedy for survivors of domestic violence. VAWA allows survivors to petition on their own behalf instead of relying on their abusive spouses, parents, or children who are U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents, thus cutting off that aspect of the abuser's control. These visas are invaluable to immigrants who have experienced incredible hardship. Latham's support and enthusiasm for taking U-Visa and VAWA cases have allowed LAS to provide this remedy to clients who otherwise may not have been able to receive these services. LAS is grateful for Latham's great work. I now introduce Adam Rosenblum, who will accept the award on Latham's behalf.
Thank you so much, Dana, for that introduction. And on behalf of Latham & Watkins, thank you so much to the Legal Aid Society for this award. LAS is such an important pro bono partner for us in Chicago, and we're so thankful for the work we've been able to do with LAS. Latham's one of the largest pro bono providers of legal services in the world. Over the last decade, Latham has provided more than 3.7 million hours of free legal services to underserved individuals, families, and organizations valued at approximately $1.8 billion. And while those quantitative measures don't tell the full story, I do think they demonstrate that pro bono is fundamental to our identity as a law firm. Here in Chicago, we're so appreciative of our partnership with LAS. Just this year, as Dana mentioned, Latham attorneys and staff have worked over 700 hours across 10 different LAS matters, representing clients fleeing truly horrific situations and seeking immigration benefits, and staffing Legal Aid Society's Elder Law Help Desk and Power of Attorney clinics. The approximate value of those services is well over $500,000. The Legal Aid Society has been absolutely instrumental in facilitating those representations, especially as we've had to adjust to conducting these cases almost completely remotely. LAS staff and volunteers are always available to help us through tricky situations, and our attorneys are grateful for their constant support. I'd also like to recognize JPMorgan Chase, and specifically JPMorgan attorney Megan Hansen, who's helped facilitate what's become a wonderful partnership. We've partnered with JPMorgan to put together teams of Latham and JPMorgan attorneys to represent deserving LAS clients in U-Visa and VAWA visa cases. I think it's been a great opportunity for all of us involved. So thank you to LAS for the recognition and for this award. Thank you for the valuable services you provide to those in need. And thank you for continuing to provide opportunities for all of us at Latham to serve our community. Thank you.
Next, for our Pro Bono Awards recognizing outstanding individuals, this year we are honoring 2 amazing volunteers who are part of the Legal Aid Society team. The recipients of the 2020 Scott C. Solberg Pro Bono Award for Individuals are Dan Engel and Roxy Friel. Dan Engel first joined LAS in 2016 after a successful career in the private sector, including working as a trial attorney for a law firm and serving as Senior Associate General Counsel for a leading national healthcare corporation. After hearing Catherine Longcoomer, managing attorney of LAS's Individual Rights and Social Justice Practice Group, speak at an event, Dan was inspired to volunteer at LAS following his retirement. He now assists Catherine and represents his own clients in various immigration matters, drafting applications for U-Visas and T-Visas, and providing immigration assistance for victims of domestic violence. Dan says the best part about volunteering at LAS is the satisfaction of knowing you're helping people in need. They're good people in difficult circumstances. Roxy Friel began volunteering with the Legal Aid Society in 2017. Before joining LAS, she enjoyed her first job as a litigation consultant and then had a successful career in the business sector, working in finance, accounting, and consulting. She also served as a court-appointed special advocate for 15 years and volunteered at another legal aid organization. As a volunteer paralegal at LAS, Roxy works closely with the Individual Rights and Social Justice Practice Group. She assists in every facet of the work, including drafting visa applications, filing, and researching tough legal questions. Roxy and Dan have been fantastic volunteers for the Legal Aid Society, providing crucial service to our clients and valuable assistance to LAS attorneys. With the generous donation of their time, Roxy and Dan help make LAS a better organization, and their dedication is inspiring.
I am truly honored to have been chosen for the Legal Aid Society's Pro Bono Service Award. I would like to thank Catherine Longcoomer for providing me with the opportunity to contribute to this group and to learn more about public interest law. It's been rewarding to be part of our clients' successes. I would also like to thank Miguel, Hillary, Kim, Marina, Mika, Dana, Maritza, and everyone who has trusted me with their projects and answered my many questions. I'm constantly inspired by the dedication and compassion and positive attitudes of the entire staff. Before I started here, I was contemplating a second career in law. This experience has reaffirmed that desire and also helped me realize that my passion is with public law specifically. I truly appreciate the guidance and support of the entire team and for making this such an amazing experience. Thank you once again.
This is Dan Engel. I've been a volunteer with Metropolitan Family Services now for 4 years. I've been doing pro bono legal work for many years now with a large number of organizations in a large number of places. And I have not worked for an organization or in a place with people who are as dedicated and caring as the people with Metropolitan Family Services. I'm proud to work with all of you. I'm proud of the clients that we serve and grateful for the opportunity to help them and help you help them. So thank you for this award. I'm truly grateful.
LAS board member Kyle Harvey tells us why she cares about the Legal Aid Society's commitment to equal access to justice.
Hi, I'm Kyle Harvey. I believe in the Legal Aid Society's mission to make justice available to all the members of our community, not just those who can afford it. The justice that the Legal Aid Society helps deliver is not simply solving a legal problem. It is the unburdening of the myriad problems that led to the legal issue. The Legal Aid Society's affiliation with Metropolitan Family Services and all of the social services that Metropolitan provides means our clients get closer to stability in their lives. Why is equal access to justice so important today? Well, last year I would have said that the dwindling social safety net and the ever-widening inequality among Chicagoans meant that our community needs the strong advocates of the Legal Aid Society. But today, in October 2020, the safety net has vanished. The number of people who need help from the Legal Aid Society and Metropolitan Family Services has ballooned, and their problems today are deeper and more life-threatening. We who can must support our neighbors and our community. There has never been a time of greater need.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I am pleased to be able to introduce to you Rodell and Yasmin, who are clients of the Legal Aid Society. Rodell worked with the Individual Rights and Social Justice Practice Group, and we were able to assist him with getting legal status after he experienced a trafficking situation. We were then able to get his daughter to come to the U.S. to join him. Rodell?
I came here in 2007 with a working visa, working in a hotel as a room attendant. I was one of 16 other people. Our destination was Tampa, Florida, but my employer sent us to Miami, and some of my friends were sent to different places. When we arrived in our apartment, we noticed the place was not good. There was no bed. Our bedrooms were unfurnished, and we had to use some old mattresses we found in the basement for beds. Unfortunately, we stayed 8 people in one room with one bathroom, and we were paying $75 weekly, each of us, and it was automatically deducted from our paycheck. Our salary was not enough for me to survive and pay my debts in the Philippines, which had interest. There was one time I received $7 in my paycheck. Another problem was our transportation service, going to our workplace. Sometimes it was 20 or more passengers in one vehicle. There was one time I seated on a car's floor, and the transportation services was not free. Those were some reasons why my friends and I ran away from our employer. We went to New York and worked there for almost 7 months. After that, we went back to Florida to work there. Later, I went back to California to work as a caregiver, then to Chicago in 2014, doing some same work. One time, a good friend of mine, who also worked in a client of Legal Aid Society, mentioned me and encouraged me to apply for T visa. At that time, I didn't have any ideas about visa. At first, I did not really think about it since I was busy working and have no time to go there to the office. I did not think that I was not going to be possible for me to get a green card. Until one day, I remember what my friends told me about Legal Aid Society, and I suddenly thought, why not give it a try? I started applying for my T visa for human trafficking. I did it for myself and my daughter. With the help of Legal Aid Society, especially Attorney Catherine, they helped us out in every step that we took for us to have a green card. If I had never worked with Legal Aid Society, my life would be completely different from now what I have now. I would have still lived with fear of getting caught by the authorities anytime. Before, when I lost my work with visa status here, I had to be careful on every move or action that I took. One simple mistake could lead me something that could change my life forever. I took a risk of staying here because I have a daughter who was in the Philippines before, and she's the reasons why I came here in the first place. That's why I'm so thankful that my friend recommended me to work on my situation with Legal Aid Society. I can go now anywhere I want without fear anymore. I feel like I used to be a bird in a cage who is now free, and I'm excited to experience the opportunities this world has left to offer. After 13 years, I can now on vacation in my country, met all my families, relatives, and friends as well. Because of what happened to me in 2007 and 2008, I never thought what I have given an opportunity to be a permanent resident here. I used to think that it would be impossible for me to be legal here. My own experience taught me that there's always hope because there's always help. We don't know what tomorrow will bring us. With the help of Legal Aid Society, especially Attorney Catherine, I finally get a chance to unite with my daughter after 11 years. So for the people out there who are experiencing what I used to experience, just keep praying and believe, because you never know that maybe tomorrow God will send someone to help you out, like how God sent Legal Aid Society to us.
So, hi, I'm Jasmine. So my life before I came here in the US was totally different from what I have right now. I used to envy my friends before because they had dads who who was with them to support them physically. And I wasn't really close to my dad when I was in my home country since he left when I was still a kid. But when I came here in the US, I finally got to appreciate my dad's sacrifices for me. And we started to be close to each other. And if my dad didn't find out about Legal Aid Society, I would probably still be in my home country and missing a lot of opportunities here in the US. And I would probably still not be close to my dad like what we are now. And I would probably still be depending on his money. Because with the help of the Legal Aid Society, I finally get a chance to work legally and earn my own money. And I can finally buy everything I want with my own money and slowly pay my dad's sacrifices for me. So something that I learned about my experience is that no matter how you think something is impossible to happen, you just have to pray and believe in God because nothing is impossible with Him. It was hard for me as a kid to grow up without a father who could look after me physically, but him leaving our home country really gave me a good life and a path to my future. God will always send help to us. God will always use someone as an instrument to help us out. And Legal Aid Society is truly an instrument that God sends to help my dad and me to be reunited again.
LAS board member Chantel Kaze shares her thoughts on why supporting the Legal Aid Society's work matters.
I joined the LAS board last year because I wanted to help increase access to justice for those who are unable to afford an attorney. I believe anyone, regardless of their economic status, should be able to use the legal system to advocate for themselves. Too often, hiring an attorney and paying for court and filing fees is out of reach for those in poverty. And these are the same communities that are disproportionately affected by gun violence, domestic abuse, wage theft, and other crimes. Community violence is an area that I'm especially concerned about here in Chicago, and I'm glad to be able to help support LAS's work on this issue. Through Communities Partnering for Peace Justice Corps, LAS is working to expand access to legal representation in high-risk communities in Chicago that are also disproportionately affected by gun violence. By helping ex-convicts with expungement and connecting them with wraparound social services, the program will help create new opportunities for the victims and perpetrators of gun violence. Now more than ever, access to justice supports sustainable peace by affording our population a more attractive alternative to violence and resolving personal and political disputes. Ensuring that all people have equal access to the legal system not only protects everyone's quality of life, but it's essential for maintaining the quality of justice for everyone in our society. And a society is only as strong as the weakest person it can protect. And that is why I personally support LAS, and it's also why it's important to my company, Aon. We look forward to working with Communities Partnering for Peace to start doing direct pro bono work to support clients in that program. We're committed to its mission of reducing gun violence and gang activity here in Chicago. And we look forward to doing this through equal access to justice under the law.
We are pleased to present Sunny Thatch, Managing Attorney of the Communities Partnering for Peace Justice Corps, known as the CP4P Justice Corps, a new LAS program that will provide legal services for participants of CP4P, the Metropolitan Family Services convened Violence Prevention Initiative.
Good afternoon. My name is Sunny Thatch, and I am excited to step into the role of Managing Attorney of the Communities Partnering for Peace Justice Corps, because this work of providing legal services directly in the communities most impacted by gun violence resonates with my own life experiences. I grew up in a single-parent, working-class home on the south side of Chicago. My two younger sisters and I were taught to prioritize education, family, and community. Despite playing by the rules, the violence around us shook us to our core when my uncle was taken from us. My uncle struggled with addiction and housing insecurity for much of his life. Finally, after overcoming his addiction, he seemed to be on the right path, even becoming an ordained pastor. He applied for jobs and housing, but was turned away because of his criminal record. Around that same time, my mom purchased another home, allowing my uncle to stay in our home in the Fuller Park neighborhood. One day, while walking back from the local convenience store, my uncle was shot in the head and died in the middle of the street. His murderer was never caught. This loss devastated my family, particularly my mother, who, along with my uncle, were the oldest of 5 siblings. While grieving, we were faced with the reality of missed mortgage payments, utility bills, and resolving his belongings in the home. I can't help but to think that things could have been different if my uncle had the services offered through CP4P to support his reentry into society. A simple petition to seal his criminal background would have allowed him access to better employment and housing. The behavioral health services could have potentially assisted with addiction much sooner in life. The CP4P Justice Corps will work to educate and empower our communities about how the law can be used to help achieve greater security and prosperity. We will offer trauma-informed services and meet the people where they are. We will fight for the rights of people to live in up-to-code housing by addressing unfair housing practices. We will also address wage theft in order to help people get paid fairly for work they have done. We will help support families who are coming to this country to build a better life for their family. And by connecting families with wraparound services, we will help lift families up and out of poverty. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Koziel. I'm a staff attorney with the Legal Aid Society's domestic violence team of the Safety and Family Practice Group. I'm here today with my client, Bianca, who has proven to be the strongest and most resilient client that I've had in my almost 10 years of practice. She first came to us through our Safe Families program. We helped her get an order of protection after her husband had beat her in front of her children and was arrested and charged with domestic battery. After a very long trial process, he was found guilty of domestic battery. Bianca was able to get a 1-year order of protection. But her husband was extremely unrealistic in his expectations as to seeing the children. He refused to have any parenting time, insisting that Bianca and the kids live with him, even though by that point he hadn't seen the kids for about 2 years. So after she got her protective order of protection, we jumped in on her divorce case. And as I was preparing all the documents to initiate the case, I noticed that there was a child support order that had been entered about a year prior that her husband hadn't abided by for about 8 months. And by that time, he was about $13,000 in arrears. And so I brought it to the attention of the court. We tried to enforce it. He refused to pay, insisting again that the children live with him. So he was eventually incarcerated because he continued to refuse to pay. And throughout the divorce proceedings, he continued to be unrealistic and unreasonable. He continued to say he was not going to pay child support. He refused any parenting time, again, insisting that the children live with him. He filed numerous motions for residential custody and to modify his child support obligation. But after filing the motions, he wouldn't show up at the date that the motion was set to be heard in front of the judge. And prior to our involvement, Bianca had to go to these dates on her own. And so it was very emotionally taxing and obviously affected her ability to work. He also continued to harass her through social media, making numerous really intimidating posts directed towards Bianca. And we were able to support her and help her enforce the order of protection throughout. As we know, the pandemic has really changed the way that we work, and for us in particular, the way that we practice in court. About mid-March, the courts were closed and most proceedings stopped. By that time, we had filed a motion to extend Bianca's order of protection. We were set to be in front of the judge at the end of March, which is when her order was set to expire. Obviously, that couldn't happen. So I had to coordinate with a lot of court staff to ensure that her order remained in effect until at least the courts reopened so she could provide her reasons to the judge as to why she wanted the extension. Mid-May, this proved to be very difficult. Mid-May, Bianca called me and said that her husband, the night before, had found out where she lived, gone to her house, and threatened to kill her. The police were called. He was arrested for violating the order. And unfortunately, the next morning he was released because the charges were dropped. The court told Bianca that her order of protection had expired when it in fact had not. So I had to start calling around to everyone. I spoke with numerous court staff, multiple sheriff's offices, even the arresting officers, trying to figure out what happened. And after days of nearly constant phone calls and emails, we eventually found out that a clerical error had caused the miscommunication with the court. And obviously we were able to get that fixed, thank God. And, through all that advocacy, through, our hard work, and particularly the work of Bianca, we were able to secure a 1-year order of protection for her. So now it expires about, midsummer next year. Now, I have to say, I'm a lawyer and I have access to numerous resources and I have a ton of support. And I found it almost impossible to navigate the post-pandemic world. And I cannot imagine what it must be like for victims such as Bianca who have to do this on their own. And I'll just say in closing that it has been more than a pleasure to represent Bianca. I've been more than impressed with her progress and improvement, with her persistence to break the cycle of violence. She's exemplary, and it's been a true honor to represent her. Bianca, thank you so much for allowing us to help you.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys a lot. I'm grateful for Metropolitan Services and Family and the Legal Aid Society because it's hard. It's a very difficult thing to go through domestic violence. And I didn't know where to go, what to do, who to talk to. So when I started, I went to downtown and started there. And that's when I met you guys. And that's when the young lady there, she told me, hey, we're going to get this started. We're going to get your order of protection. We're going to get everything going. And then that's when everything just kind of seemed like it went awry. But it seemed like you're like my little super moment that came in and saved the day. You were patient with me. You listened to everything I had to say. You understood what was going on. You was like, no, it's not fair. You don't deserve that. Even though plenty of times I was like, no, I give up. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be bothered. Okay, whatever he wants, let's just do it. You're just like, no, that's not how this works. We're not gonna let him get away with that. Everyone that worked on your team, when you left me for a while for maternity leave, they were extremely helpful. They were like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. When we had to go to court, and you wasn't able to be there, they were there for me. They still gave me support and they gave me courage to say, hey, look, this needs to be done. No, don't give up. No, don't stop the process. Keep going, keep going. That's one thing I am beyond grateful about because there were plenty of times I threw my hands up, threw the towel in, laid on the ground, said, hey, I give up. And no one there said, sure, that's what we're going to do. They was like, no, we're going to keep fighting. I didn't know I suffered from PTSD. When you told me, you was like, Bianca, I think you're suffering from PTSD. I want you to talk to somebody. We argued about it a little bit. You're like, no. Go talk to someone. It's okay to talk to somebody. And I did. And I went to, I talked to the young lady and it helped a lot. It gave me a lot of courage. It gave me strength. It gave me a vision of that. I don't have to go through so much turmoil. I don't have to go through him picking at me. I don't have to go through him threatening me. I don't have to go through walking around every day with looking over my shoulder. And even Miriam now, she still gives me the strength to say, hey, stop being so hard on yourself. Stop allowing things that happened to me in the past to say, give up. And I continue to beat myself up. She says, no, don't do that. Don't let that get to you. Keep going. Yes, it's a fight. It's a struggle, but you're doing good as a person. You're doing good as a mom. You're doing good as a human being in general, because most people wouldn't make it through this. And we've been doing this for almost 3 years now.
That's a long time.
It's been a long road, and I'm beyond grateful. I wouldn't be able to afford the services, so I'm beyond grateful for that part. And just everyone on your team, you and Ralph and Angel, Miriam, everybody there, they've been there to support me. And it's hard to have a support system when you go through something like this, because you lose everybody that you think you have. And that's one thing that Metropolitan Family Services did not do. No one gave up on me like I gave up on myself. And I don't think I would have survived this far. I think probably like 2 years ago, I've been like, all right, fine, whatever. I don't care. Let it be. So I am beyond grateful for the services. I appreciate you and the services that you provide. And I will recommend anyone who needs help, who is in fear. And mental abuse is not just physical. It's mental, spiritual, and physical. And if you feel that way with being in a relationship with somebody, go talk to somebody. Find help in any form or fashion. So I thank you guys a ton. Thank you.
Bianca, that was truly inspirational. And I'm really happy that you were able to not only get services through LAS, but also through MFS, through the Victims Legal Assistance Network program. And actually, from what I've heard, and I'm not surprised by this at all, you've made immense progress towards ending the cycle of violence. And, you know, I'm truly inspired by you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Your courage inspires us. All of you have heard from many people this afternoon, clients, board members, and LAS staff, highlighting the critical importance of the Legal Aid Society's work. Without LAS, thousands of individuals and families throughout metropolitan Chicago and DuPage County simply would not get the legal support they need. Ranging from escaping extreme and often life-threatening abuse in domestic violence and human trafficking situations, to empowering seniors with legal documents that safeguard their financial and health well-being. Your support of the Legal Aid Society of Metropolitan Family Services literally makes life-changing differences. A word about Metropolitan Family Services. One of the things that makes LAS truly special is that it not only brings extensive legal support to clients in the areas where they need it, but as a legal society that is part of a larger social service agency, it is perfectly positioned to connect clients with additional services such as counseling. All of us who have done pro bono work are keenly aware that our clients often need more than just legal help. And Metropolitan provides a wide range of programs and services spanning education, economic stability, emotional wellness, and in conjunction with LAS, empowerment through legal advocacy. From workforce development and job readiness to early learning and after-school programs, Metropolitan and LAS staff partner to connect clients with a comprehensive array of services that wrap around clients designed to help them truly succeed and do so for the long term. I am inspired by the stories I've heard today, and I hope you are too. Please consider making a contribution to the Legal Aid Society. Your support of LAS's work empowers not only the 13,800 clients we serve, but also the volunteers and board members who believe in justice for all, regardless of ability to pay. We as a society continue to face many challenges, from re-emerging COVID to civil unrest, meaning that your support is especially needed. Every dollar matters, just as every person's equal access to justice matters.
Legal Aid Society Executive Director Miguel Caberline rejoins us to present the Legal Aid Society's William H. Avery Award.
The Legal Aid Society established our Avery Award in 1985 in memory of William H. Avery, former partner of Sidley Austin. The award recognizes outstanding leadership in providing legal aid for those unable to afford an attorney and promoting equal access to justice. We are honored to present this year's award to Hubert Allen, Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary of Abbott Laboratories, for his and Abbott's outstanding contributions to the legal community and to creating more pathways towards equal justice for all. Hubert is an active board member of Metropolitan Family Services and has served as Abbott's Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary since 2013. In addition to his positions with Abbott and Metropolitan Family Services, Hubert also serves on the Executive Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago. Abbott has a long-standing commitment to community service, and under Hubert's direction, formalized a very robust pro bono program open to everyone in the legal division. The program supports more than 50 different legal aid and community service programs by supporting immigrants in navigating the naturalization process, elderly individuals with a host of different legal issues, and those who have been denied SNAP benefits. Abbott also has collaborated with Street Law Inc. to encourage and educate Chicago area high school students interested in careers in law. Hubert's personal values of excellence, integrity, perseverance, and embracing challenge influence his approach to leadership and Abbott's commitment to supporting pro bono law. And it shows in the feedback Abbott receives from its pro bono volunteers. Some of the comments they've received include, "This reminded me of why I became a lawyer." Another volunteer said, "It was tremendously rewarding to have helped someone in such an important and tangible way, but it was also overwhelming to see such need." And a third remarked, "We are so fortunate that Abbott encourages and facilitates participating in community service programs and providing pro bono legal services." On that note, I am very pleased to present the 2020 William H. Avery Award for Outstanding Contributions to the legal community and to equal access to justice to Hubert Allen.
We are pleased to welcome 2020 William H. Avery honoree Hubert Allen, Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary of Abbott Laboratories. Hubert will be interviewed by Kyle Harvey, LAS board member and real estate agent with Baird & Warner. Hubert will share more about his experience with pro bono law, Abbott's pro bono work, and his approach to racial justice and inclusion.
Hi, I'm Kyle Harvey. I'm a Legal Aid Society board member and also a board member of Metropolitan Family Services and a friend of Hubert Allen, who I'm interviewing today. Hi, Hubert.
Hi, Kyle. How are you?
I'm great. I know you and Abbott Laboratories are working flat out these days, so thank you so much for taking time to talk about equal access to justice and why it's really important now.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure. Things have been busy, but I'm happy to take the time to do this.
Excellent. Well, let's first talk about why you think pro bono services are important for lawyers and our community here in the Chicago area.
Okay. Well, you know, when I think about pro bono service, I mean, I think about it two ways, right? I mean, really the impact it has on the world and then the impact it has on the lawyers. You know, thinking about the impact it has on the world, you know, in a lot of ways, I'll just say it's personal, right? In the sense that I was born and I grew up in the city of Boston, and I was born to immigrants from the West Indies, and we didn't have a lot, right? And I began my life in a way where I think it was more likely that I would become a client of legal services than a recipient of an award, right? And so the impact that organizations like this here in Chicago and around the country have on people, I think is important, and I think it's sort of meaningful. I grew up in the 70s in Boston, which was a time of tremendous racial tension. Boston is, of course, not known, unfortunately, for its racial equality. I think it speaks to a system that needs intervention on the part of people who are serious about creating a different type of world. A couple of years ago, I think there was a study done by the Boston Globe, and even today in the city of Boston, I think the median income for Black families is $8, right? And when we think about that statistic, it cries out for a need for change. It cries out for a need for systemic change, and it cries out for a need for individual change and individual intervention in the world, right? I have been fortunate to be the recipient of help in my life when I've needed it. I've been the recipient of interventions at critical points in my life, and I've been able to lead a really kind of improbable life in a lot of different ways. So in a very personal way, I understand that pro bono is important. Because it's important because you're affecting people. You're intervening at a point where somebody needs something that they don't have the ability to do themselves, nor do they have the ability to pay for it. But doing it is important, and doing it can change the trajectory of a person's life, right? And from that perspective alone, I think that, what Legal Aid Society does and what we as lawyers, whether it's at Abbott or other places, can do in terms of providing client service is extraordinarily important. So that's kind of the client side of it and the world side of it. On the other side of it is the lawyer, right? And I think that those of us who've done pro bono, and I know you've done pro bono work, and all sorts of lawyers have done it. It's a tremendously important opportunity, particularly early in your career, because it gives you the opportunity to be a real lawyer in a way that working at a law firm may not. And it gives you an opportunity to interact with clients and to sort of really think in a holistic way, hopefully, about what they need and how you can provide a service that is important for them. There are skills learned from it, certainly in the large litigation cases. There are immense skills that are learned from that. But even in the direct service work, you learn how to be a lawyer, how to be a counselor, how to interact with clients, and that is an important thing to do. And then lastly, for people who get into the legal profession, we have the advantage of being part of this profession, but the profession itself is insular. We talk about diversity and inclusion, and that is a matter of sort of who we have in the profession, but it's also a matter of our connectivity to the rest of the world. And doing pro bono work, being involved in all of the communities in Chicago, broadens your aperture and helps you understand, for at least for a little minute, a life you're not living, and it helps you interact with people who teach you things. And so I think that is in and of itself important.
I can't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I mean, you nailed it.
Yeah.
And it's really refreshing to hear somebody who's risen as high as you have in the profession so passionate about it. So thank you. Well, tell us a little bit more about Abbott's pro bono program, because not every company has established one, but Abbott has. So tell us about it.
Sure. Well, we've established one. It is an outgrowth of something we were doing before. We were doing what I'd call community service projects for a long time. One of the things that is important to me and was important to my predecessor was that we engage in programs where every legal professional has the opportunity to contribute. And so that started for us probably more in the social service side, but then it progressed into a pro bono program a couple of years ago. I can't take credit for the program. I mean, the program is really driven and is really run by an incredible bunch of lawyers in our department. I mean, particularly Laura Ward has taken a laboring oar to bring the program into reality. There's a lot of enthusiasm for it here in Lake County, and we're also doing things in some of our other locations in Texas and California and elsewhere, Columbus, Ohio. And so, the program has grown a little bit organically in the sense that we have followed the passions and the interest of the lawyers and legal professionals who are part of the program. And so we take opportunities as they come to us. They often come to us because it's something that someone is passionate about doing. We evaluate it and we figure out how we can help and how we can make a difference, and then we engage in it that way. I mean, one of our early decisions that we sweated a lot was whether to organize a program on a direct service model or to organize a program by being involved and lending support to what I'd call wider ranging kind of landmark litigation type things. We work with our law firm partners, and a lot of those partners are involved in cases that are broad reaching. And so we thought a lot about that. But at the end of the day, what I decided is we should let the people who are actually going to do the work bring to us things that they were passionate about, because being passionate about it makes a huge difference in terms of commitment and also just, you know, the enthusiasm we bring to the work itself.
Let's talk now about diversity, inclusion, and equity, and the changes that our society is demanding of the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
You are at the top of the legal profession. What's your view of how things are today and how far they've come over the course of your career?
My view of how things are today is, you know, not enough on this front. And sort of my view of how things have changed is kind of mixed. Look, I think if you look at the statistics nationally, there's been a shockingly small change in terms of the private law firm sector. I think that when I graduated versus today, there is some improvement, but that improvement is really, really slight. I think in departments like ours, in in-house legal departments, I think there's been more change. I cannot remember the statistic, but I recently saw a statistic about the number of general counsel now in the Fortune 500 who are people of color and women, and it's a different number than when I started, in a positive direction, than when I started in the legal profession, you know, a while back. You know, in our particular industry, of the 4 largest medical device companies in this country, 3 of them, including ours, have general counsel who are Black people. 2 of us men and one a woman, right? So that's a very different world than I left law school into. At the law firm level, like I said, the change has been slower and the change has been harder. And it is something I am hoping and we are pushing the law firms we work with, or helping, I shouldn't say pushing, I guess, you know, the law firms to engage in how they improve their retention of both women and people of color. You know, internally, our statistics with respect to women are extraordinary. We have some work with people of color, to be honest, and it's work that we're doing, but it's work that will take some time.
Well, what's your advice to senior management of firms who want and yet still haven't succeeded in diversifying their rosters?
Do it.
I know, but how? Their response is how?
You know, look, I think that the question is really, it's really a question of paying attention to the people that they have been able to recruit. I think that, you know, we ask for statistics from the law firms we work with, and I think what those statistics demonstrate is what we see in the larger profession, which is that the law firms do okay in terms of bringing people in. I think it's in the retention question where things get harder. And so I would say that the biggest issue is really setting up systems, structures and processes to pay attention to the opportunities that people are getting. Every person who joins a firm, who joins our department, who joins any legal organization does it because they want to be challenged by the work they're doing. And they want to learn and they want to grow. And I think that where firms have to evolve is really paying attention to the staffing of matters and paying attention to the work that's being given to individuals so that they can get better retention. You know, there's obviously in all organizations, corporate organizations, questions of, you know, inclusion. I think, you know, we all have work to do, and we all struggle with the question of everybody being able to bring our authentic self to work. But I think that more fundamentally than that almost is this question of, are you giving people opportunities to be involved in things that are interesting and that are meaningful to them, meaningful to the firm, and meaningful to their clients so that they can advance through the process.
So let's just circle one more time back to you and Abbott. What are you guys doing to promote diversity and inclusion and equity at your workplace?
Sure. Well, I mean, we in the legal division are kind of, we have, I guess you can call it an initiative, but I hate the word initiative because it makes it feel temporary. We have been committed to working in a lot of different ways to do it in the profession and with ourselves. Ourselves is the easiest. We have the easiest and the hardest. We've been committed in terms of as we post jobs, as we look for people, that we keep looking until we get a slate of people that is diverse. I mean, that takes longer to fill every job, but we've made a commitment that we need to see women, we need to see people of color, we need to see people from other countries and so on and so forth as we fill each job internally. As job openings come up, if we're going to do an internal fill, one of the things that we've been focused on, although we haven't, you can only be successful at this in the margins because people do have to live their own lives. But we try to bring to the U.S. and send from the U.S. Lawyers who work with us into openings, because you had that experience of doing that, and that broadens perspective, and it broadens our own perspective in terms of lawyers of color that we're hiring. Again, it's what I said about the law firms. You have to pay attention to people's career development, which is something I've been trying to do very personally in terms of that type of work. With respect to the profession, we are supporting organizations like Just the Beginning Foundation, who are really focused on college students and younger kids who might want to join the legal profession. We have a 1L internship program that we work with, mostly Kirkland, Sidley and Austin, and Baker McKenzie, to sort of give a couple of weeks out of the summer to one of their associates to understand what working inside of a corporation is like, and we have a diversity requirement for that. We are partnering with law schools to sort of get the message of working for an in-house legal department is a good thing to do, doing out there. And then lastly, like I mentioned before, we are really working with our firms to try to ensure that for every matter we have, because we think we have interesting matters. Some days I wish we had less interesting matters. To get a diverse slate of lawyers working on our matters.
That all sounds really good. Where do you see our profession in 5 years if real change is implemented?
In 5 years, I think, look, if we think about careers and we think about lifespans, in 5 years, I think we're at the beginning of meaningful change, right? In 5 years, I think that the makeup of law firm partnerships starts to change. The makeup of jobs like my own continue to change. The makeup of law departments and corporations change. In public service, it changes. In government, it changes. But I think that, 5 years, I think one of the things that we need to accept is that while this moment is important and this moment needs to be embraced, this is a project that is going to take decades. And I don't mean let's move slow, but I mean that we have to work with people as they move through careers, and that's not a 5-year thing. That's not, it is better at 5 years. It needs to be better at 5 years. It needs to be better at 10 years. But if we as a profession are really committed to this, then we're going to get to a place of real, inclusion at every level, probably in 10 years and more. And just because of the fact that we have to dig ourselves out of a hole. And the ranks of 8th-year associates aren't as diverse as we want them to be. The ranks of people in law departments who are about to get to the VP level is not as diverse as we want it to be, and we're going to have to work on that over the next 5 years. And at the beginning of 5 years, I'm hoping we're right at the edge of that change, and in 10 years, I'm hoping it looks extremely different.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and congratulations on winning the William H. Avery Award.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's great to chat with you always.
Always.
Great to chat with you in this setup, and I am excited about the award. Not for myself, but I'm excited about it for the work that our department is doing, and I'm excited about the work that the Legal Aid Society is doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
LAS board member Ken Matthew tells us why he's committed to the Legal Aid Society.
Through my involvement with the Legal Aid Society as a board member, I've learned that LAS's work and mission are a win-win-win-win for LAS clients, LAS, Charles River Associates, and myself. It's a win for the clients because they receive much needed legal representation they might not otherwise be able to obtain. They also get access to the Metropolitan Family Services entire suite of support services. It's a win for LAS because the organization is making an impact on a daily basis in communities across Chicago. For example, the CP4P Justice Court program makes a difference on a daily basis by promoting peace through dispute resolution training and education, resulting in a measurable reduction in violence. It's a win for Charles River Associates because it helps us attract and retain talented professionals who share the common value of giving back to Chicago and the world to make it just a little bit better for someone every day. It's a win for me personally because I enjoy the relationships I've developed with the board members and the LAS staff, and it presents opportunities to work together to serve our community, to build and strengthen those relationships. Helping an individual pursue success in life, however they define it, is one of the noblest endeavors a person can undertake. That's, of course, in my humble opinion. Providing equal access to justice helps people achieve success and prosperity. While individual success is critical to a fulfilling and meaningful life, LAS also reminds us of the interdependent nature of our society and that it's impossible to achieve success on an island. We all depend on others, not unlike LAS clients in our pursuit of success, however we define it. It's easy to define divisiveness and conflict in today's world. Just read the articles on your newsfeed. Remembering the similarities we share with others and having empathy for their situations and need for help, just like many of us have had along the way in our lives, provides a much needed bright spot for everyone involved in the process. Like I said before, it's a win-win-win-win.
Thank you so much, Ken. And thank you to all of you for joining us today for this program. This is likely the first and hopefully the last time we will be unable to get together in person for this event. And we are so thankful for everyone's participation. The Legal Aid Society greatly appreciates you for the support you provide makes the empowering work that LAS does throughout metropolitan Chicago and beyond possible. Your care and commitment is making equal access to justice a reality every day. On behalf of my co-chair, Amanda Amer, the Legal Aid Society team, and the clients we serve, thank you.
Thank you.